Marketing 101 says show your best footage first. So why did Border 2 shows the worst CGI I've seen in years? Everyone on the internet was laughing at this movie a week ago. And now it's printing money. It's either the luckiest fluke in Bollywood history or the makers are way smarter than we gave them the credit for. जब Border 2 announced हुई थी, the general reaction was very mixed. Technically, 1997 Border is a cult classic, and sequels to cult classics are usually a disaster. People were genuinely skeptical कि क्या makers को सच में एक sequel की ज़रूरत थी या ये बस एक lazy cash grab है to exploit the current wave of nostalgia. Every detail that came out initially just added to the doubt. When the first few snippets and marketing materials dropped, the internet went brutal. The CGI looked questionable and the dialogue sounded like they were trying too hard. It felt like the hype died before the movie even hit the screens. But now that the word of mouth and box office numbers are coming in, it's completely different story. It's making waves that nobody predicted after lukewarm marketing. I actually sat down and watched Border 2, and I have to be honest, I was shocked. There's a massive gap between how they marketed this film and what the final product actually is. So let's break down what actually happened. First, we need to talk about the director, Anurag Singh. If you only follow mainstream Bollywood, you might not be super familiar with him, but you should be. He's the guy behind Punjab 1984, starring Diljit Dosanjh, which was a very grounded and heavy film. He also did Kesari with Akshay Kumar. Having someone like him was a massive win, because he actually understands the mechanics of a war film. He understands the scale and the weight required for this genre. Having a director who knows how to balance Bollywood commercialism with the intensity of war was the first sign that this wasn't going to be just another low-effort sequel. Now let's address the casting, because that was the biggest point of contention before release. सब पूछ रहे थे, why this specific group? Take Ahan Shetty for example. This is only his second film and he clearly has a lot to learn in terms of range. But we all know his casting wasn't about acting prowess. It was about the legacy of Sunny Deol from the original film. It's a callback value play. Even if he's just okay on screen, his presence connects you back to the 1997 vibe. And it works for the sake of continuity. Even though his performance was a big letdown, you still tend to ignore it. Then you have Diljit Dosanjh. Honestly, Diljit was great in this, even in scenes where the CGI VFX for the Air Force sequences were visibly bad. His performance kept it grounded. He is very natural in front of the camera, especially in emotional arcs. Varun Dhawan is the one people are still debating. It's a hit and a miss. Some people find his energy a bit much for a war setting, but from a business perspective, he brings the crowd. He has a massive following and you need that star power to fill seats for a film this scale. Whether he fits the serious tone of Border is subjective, but he did his job in terms of visibility. The real standouts though were Mona Singh and Parambir Chima. Mona Singh is just in fine form right now. She adds a lot of weight to her scenes. And Parambir, who was part of Varun's team, actually stole the show in many sequences. It's these smaller casting wins that make the overall ensemble work better than the trailer suggested. One of my biggest fears was the dialogues. ट्रेलर देख के ऐसा लग रहा था it's going to be full over the top jingoistic lines that would feel incredibly cringe in 2026.
तुम्हारे पाकिस्तान में इतने लोग नहीं जितने हमारे यहाँ ईद पर बकरे काटे जाते हैं.
Surprisingly, that wasn't the case. The dialogues were actually quite limited. They didn't try to fill every scene with a punchline. When the heavy dialogues do come, especially from someone like Sunny Deol, they actually land. It feels earned within the context of the scene. It's a very fine line to walk and the writers manage to stay on the right side of it most of the time, barring a few. The music is another area where they played it smart. The placement of the songs feels very natural. They don't break the flow of the war drama to have a dance sequence. The songs are used to build emotional stakes, which makes you more invested when the action eventually kicks off. It takes its time to build and that patience pays off in the second half. Let's talk about the action choreography, because this is where the movie is a bit of a mixed bag. The Air Force and Navy sequences are frankly the weakest part. The CGI is choppy and the VFX feels undercooked. If you are a technical person, you'll definitely notice the flaws there. However, the land-based sequences featuring army are a different beast altogether. The level of detailing in the ground combat is impressive. The action feels gritty and real. Interestingly, they toned down the brightness in many of these scenes. It's a clever move because it hides some of the technical imperfections and makes the combat feel more intense. You can't really nitpick the details when the atmosphere is that heavy. It focuses more on the brutality of the fight rather than just cool explosions. The screenplay for Border 2 follows a very similar format to the original, and that was probably the smartest move. The first half is almost entirely dedicated to character building. They introduce four main characters, show their personal lives, their families, and the bond they share with each other. Because you spend so much time with them in the first half, you actually care when they go into battle in the second half. This is where most modern war films fail. They jump straight into the action without giving us a reason to care who lives or dies. In Border 2, even if the war sequences have technical flaws, you tend to ignore them because you are already rooted in the character's journey. You're invested in the people, not just pixels. Okay, we can't discuss Border 2 without talking about Sunny Deol. A huge chunk of the audience is buying tickets just to see him back in his avatar. At 68, his presence is still massive. Even though they used body doubles for the more intense combat scenes, which was done very carefully by the way. His performance doesn't feel fake. The way he delivers his lines and motivates his troops still has the same impact. But what stood out more was his emotional performance. We are used to seeing angry Sunny Deol, but his quieter, more connected moments in this film are what actually drive the story home. Also, a small side note, I noticed in the credits his name was written as Sunny Deol, Dharamji ka beta. It's a small touch, but it adds to that whole legacy feel that movie is trying to build. So, was the bad marketing a blunder? Honestly, I'm thinking to it was a genius strategy. Thinking about it, they showed all the bad parts in the marketing material. The subpar CGI, the louder dialogues, the stuff that made us expect the worst. By the time the audience went into the theater, their expectations were at rock bottom. And then the movie delivered something much better than the promos. This creates a massive wave of word of mouth. When people go on expecting a 2 on 10 and get a 7 on 10, they tell everyone about it. The kind of organic buzz is something you can't buy with a high budget trailer. Border 2 might be risky, but it's a solid commercial film. It's a good war drama that managed to overcome its own marketing hurdles to become a success. By the way, they just announced Border 3. If you like this video, click on that like button. Please comment down your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel because we take cinema seriously.